In India, they straight up are whacking you with a stick. The cops are whacking you with a stick, beating you down with sticks if you're out past curfew. I got these from a viewer worth replying to on video here, from Dylan Jones. It boggles my mind. You're a Trump supporter? What virus? Ask the almost 200,000 dead here in the U.S. Doesn't it perturb you that the U.S. is literally handling this the worst in the world? The rest of the world won't even let us in their countries. That's what I'm mostly going to respond to, but let's see what else you said. No one likes Biden. They just know that Trump is an abject failure as a president, most recently. See COVID deaths. 5% world pop and 20% world COVID deaths. I'd rather have Biden mumble his way through a term than Trump continue to divide the country and take away our rights. I don't know what rights he's taking away. Oh, so the protesters can't go keep destroying buildings and setting things on fire and terrorizing diners at restaurants and vandalizing them? All right. It's shocking to me because I know there's a lot of liberals that think there's a lot of redneck, idiot, brainwashed, gullible Trump supporters that just follow him like a cult and believe everything that he says. That's not me. I'm educated. I don't believe half of what Trump says, but he's very entertaining. He fights back against China's trade bullying. He protects our borders and a lot of other cool things, as well as puts the media in their place. But this whole thing about we have 20% of all China virus cases or deaths, whichever one you want to take, I don't care, but only 5% of the world's population. Do you really think China is reporting accurate cases and deaths? Do you really think that Africa and India, and for a fact they're saying on the news how Brazil, it's just chaos and no one knows what's going on there, but any of these countries with millions and millions of people are reporting the accurate numbers, let alone any numbers? Like, Africa has a lot of tribes, a lot of villages, a lot of dirt, the Middle East, a lot of sand, and you got India, just the same thing, villages, rural areas. And do you think anyone's going there and documenting the cases and the deaths? You think anyone's even going to the hospital in all these third world countries and they're documenting this stuff? And in the Congo, in the rainforests, in all the jungles, there's a lot of bodies stacking up there. You think those are getting reported, processed, and morgued, and tagged, and bagged, and put in cemeteries? No. And then we get to North Korea. Kim Jong-un, who reports 0 cases. North Korea claims 0 cases. Kim Jong-un says they are the shining success of the world. Let me show you one headline that North Korea was claiming. So, for any liberal or Trump hater, anyone with Trump derangement syndrome that is going to claim that we actually have 20% of all cases and deaths out of the whole population when we are only 5% of the population, it's just so ridiculous that you are so dumb to think that all of these other countries that I just mentioned are even reporting even a fraction of what they actually are. And the reason why we have so many cases, like they're duplicates, triplicates, quadruplicates, right? Like, people are getting tested. Like, if someone gets tested positive and then they are still positive and they get tested again, that's 2 cases, right? Who knows how the cases are actually working, but all I know is, like, we're case happy. I'm not about, like, oh, if we just test less, then there's less cases and then there's less this and that. No, I don't. But it's like people are getting 2, 3, 4, 5 tests. And that must make cases, there's so many duplicate cases, I'm sure of it. But you guys are so gullible to think that we really have 20% of the world's cases, even though just 5% of the population. It just is, wow. Come on, give me a break. And we have an election. This is the China virus election for the United States. China hates Trump. They want to get rid of Trump. So does Iran. But China inflicted this, unleashed it upon the world, specifically to get rid of Trump. Even playing devil's advocate, and if their numbers are correct, you know what they don't have this year? They don't have an election. Democrat governors and mayors are fueling the spread of the virus further Yeah, because they also want to get rid of Trump. So they're saying, go ahead, go protest. We love protests. We hate churches. We hate pastors. You can't go do that stuff, but you can go protest. And hey, the private sector, airlines, go ahead. Jam-pack tons of people on a plane. Just put your mask on. But hey, churches, you can't go pray in church, mask or not. No praying in church. No church services. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, in India, they straight up are whacking you with a stick. The cops are whacking you with a stick, beating you down with sticks if you're out past curfew. This guy in India on my Instagram, I was having this cool conversation with him, and he literally said that the police go around looking for people to just beat with their sticks. Talk about where's Indian lives matter, huh? Because in India, you just get brutalized with sticks, not guns. Maybe because they have a lot of swords too, but they don't have guns. And so you all try to say how like all these countries, their death counts are way low versus us when their populations are way up. Yeah, they're not democracies. They will straight up beat your ass with sticks, or in China, they'll straight up execute you for any crime, breaking curfew, and they just lock you all down for months and months and months. And in North Korea, they just feed you to the dogs. Kim Jong-un just throws his uncle into a den of dog wolves when he wants to get rid of people. So, I mean, people, this is what we're dealing with. Both sides have some really stupid idiots. But for Trump supporters, you talking to liberals and they hate Trump because they blame him for the China virus. This is the kind of BS that people think about Trump, and oh my God, America is such a disgrace. Our death count versus all these other countries, it's apples and oranges. You want to be China? You want to be Russia? You want Trump to act like those leaders? Then hey, our death count would have been nothing. But we're in a democracy. We don't need to be muzzled like a dog here. Okay? We can't be forced to be muzzled like a dog here. So there you go. Wake up. In conclusion, we live in a democracy. Very few other countries have democracies, so you cannot compare us to hundreds of these countries that don't even live in democracies, where Russia, Putin, and China, they're not even reporting accurate numbers, but they just lock down whole cities like prisoners. And this goes for North Korea too, they'll just freaking just take away all rights. You can't even leave to go to the store. Just one person's allowed out of the house per week. And hundreds of countries, not democracies. Autocratic, dictators, kingsmen, etc., etc. So how are you going to compare America with the world versus the world's population when there's very few democratic countries? Two, it's an election year. There's so many reasons why our case totals are way up, and so many reasons why the virus is spreading, and it's mainly because of Democratic governors and mayors fueling protests, and who knows how this testing and the cases are getting duplicated. And three, half these countries, tons of these countries, they're rural, out in the middle of nowhere villages and in the caves of Afghanistan or whatever, in North Korea. And none of these third world countries are documenting, or no one knows what's going on in these countries. And so for all y'all to be like, America has 20% of all deaths, but only 5% of the population. Like, there's a billion, I said millions, billions of people in India, billions of people in China, and these are not democracies. People aren't allowed to leave. So you all hated on Trump years ago for wanting to be like Putin, wanting to be like Duterte of the Philippines. And you know what? If he could have had his way, maybe he would have done big-ass shutdowns, more than he did against China and Europe in February, before the China virus got here. But you all screamed bloody murder on his Muslim ban 3 years ago. If he could have done big ass bans, I mean, Democrats still did scream bloody murder when he did his little China ban in January. So if he had been able to do, so he was kind of gun shy, if he had been able to do what he really wanted to do, what his natural instinct is to do, and to be a dictator, he probably would have squashed the virus. But hey, we live in a democracy, which is unlike 95% of the other countries. And so you can't compare us. Like, our numbers are our numbers, and they have nothing to do with anyone else. If Putin was our leader, he would have locked us all down, and our numbers would be nothing. If if it wasn't an election year, our numbers would be nothing. And if we were a third world country with freaking rural out in the middle of nowhere desert lands and villages, then our numbers would also be nothing because nothing gets reported, okay? So all there's so many liberals that are just as dumb and idiotic with Trump derangement syndrome as there are Trump supporters that are redneck, gullible, stupid idiots, believe in everything he has to say. Fake news media, though. Everyone's got to love how he smashes the media. Who likes the media and their sensationalized, dishonest bullshit? If you've ever been a target of the media, then you know that the media, they're just like lawyers. They're all scumbags.